Thanks. No, we thank you for your, participation. As you look at the world of giving and of kindness, there are many players, private and public, government and non-governmental. What sets Touch a Life Foundation apart? What's different about what you do?
So I'd love to take this part, Dr. Manuel. And again, as the other panelists mentioned, thank you for having us over here. It is an honor to be presenting at Denver Startup Week today on some of the wonderful work that we're doing. So in terms of what Touch a Life is doing, we are fundamentally a marketplace between donors and donees. We want to be able to connect those who can provide to those who are in need, both in kind and in time, which means if people have funds that they want to give, if they want to donate money, we're able to do. And in doing so, we don't take any money in between. So all the funds that an individual decides to donate, we won't take any money in between. Furthermore, what we also do is we connect volunteers who want to do voluntary hours, helping their local community, to those nonprofit organizations that may need help. So a great example of this is individuals who might need tutoring for learning guitar lessons, or a local library that might need volunteers to help, clean up their local library, which I used to do back when I was volunteering in high school. All of these nonprofit institutions have a hard time retaining and gaining people to help out with voluntary hours. And what we want to do is to, again, help them in reaching out to people who actually want to help, again, in kind and in time. And that's what separates, I would say, Tal Giving from what other nonprofit organizations do, and also from something like a GoFundMe. We are there to help facilitate nonprofit organizations and help them grow through our ecosystem in more ways than just one. I wanted to speak a little bit more as well on what we call kindness points. We want to gamify the process of giving and of helping out, and actually make people feel good along the way as they help out their local community. And so we hoped to create kindness points and kindness competitions, and to honor those people through what we call the Tal Heroes program, which actually recognizes the work of people who we felt have done an extraordinary job in helping their local community.
Yeah, thank you, Tej. And following up on that, as we get to know more about Tal as we look at your site, as we get more involved, we noticed that you build a number of pillars. What you really have is an ecosystem. You have pillars such as Tal Giving, Tal Scouts, Tal Radio, Tal Media, and Tal Leaders. Could you talk a little bit about that? And again, this is to you, Sai, and Vina, what are those pillars, and what's distinctive about each?
So Touch a Life Foundation, has a few pillars that bring all together, Dr. Manuel. So first and foremost, as we mentioned, this is a digital platform for kindness. So we've built an app called Tal Giving, and every one of you can download this, in your app store, or you're in a Google Play. You get an app, where it is, you are able to see people who want something or who are in need of something, and people who are, the donors can connect to that particular platform. You and me, like a crowdsourcing, we can connect to that platform. We can see who are the people that are in need, and donate to those causes. As Tej mentioned, we have several nonprofits on that particular platform, and again today we'll introduce Project Bell. Jeff Spar is over here talking about that. So we have nonprofits such as Project Bell on that particular one. So donors can donate to Donies, one in cash as well as in time. And so for that, we have enabled few pillars to support that. So first and foremost, we have what we call as Tal Scouts program. So we are taking this digital platform, the Tal Scouts platform, to all high school students and undergrad students, where they can connect on this particular platform, and they can volunteer, for, supporting the Donies. For example, they can support the nonprofit organizations or they can create their own social impact programs. So we have an entire, Tal Scouts program encouraging youth, to be, kind and to make social impact. So that's a big digital platform, one of its kind, in that we're taking to all of the schools. We are tying that to, like a sustainability and the United Nations SDGs. So we literally have all the students, go through, the 17 sustainable development goals. Every month they can support, zero poverty goal. They can support homelessness, the no hunger, kind of a goal. They can support climate change, and on the platform they can, do literally all of these volunteering, social advocacy, philanthropy, as well as entrepreneurship. So that's what we're having. That's the Tal Scouts program. That's one of the pillars. And in fact, within that pillar, we have announced Transformers, which is a social innovation challenge for these, for these high schoolers, which I'll share with you shortly. I definitely would love to invite everyone, out in, over here in Denver Startup Week to come participate in our social innovation ideathon. So that's on the Tal Scouts. That's one of the pillars. The second pillar is, we have Tal Radio, and Tal Media. So these are all both, social advocacy channels. We are giving, radio and media channels, that, can promote kindness, and that promotes, the stories of social entrepreneurs. And that's something that Sai will talk about in a little more detail, as we move along. So that's the, the second pillar. The third pillar, we are also having, something like a Tal shopping, or Tal wines, where, we are having, anything, you can buy for kindness, and portions of that will get donated to the cause. And, that's again, we're including anyone, who want to buy, wines, or, any sort of other, other goods. It can go through that particular channel. So we have included, giving, we have included volunteering, and entrepreneurship, and we have included shopping. These are the 3-4 elements, that we have brought it together.
So let me just summarize what Veena said. There are like 3 things any nonprofit will require. First thing is that they need a technology platform to source for the need, or funding for a need, etc. That's the Tal Giving platform, crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. And Tal Wines is also a program to be able to raise donations, to raise money to run for their sustenance. So that's one thing, which is like a Tal Giving is all about like a crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, and Tal Wines is to generate money for their sustenance. That's number one. The second thing, what any nonprofit requires is volunteers. Tal Scouts is an angle where they can get all the volunteering support for the nonprofit. Tal leaders, these are all like a experienced people who want to give back to the society, very successful people. Both Tal Scouts and Tal leaders can either volunteer or even come as a board advisors to any nonprofit. The third angle is marketing. How do you market the needs? And that's where the Tal Radio and Tal Media, we have created our own radio station where we are bringing in music and also bringing in inspiring podcasts and all of that, etc., through Tal Radio and Tal Media. So what we are helping a nonprofit in terms of, getting their needs out to public through crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, getting through Tal Wines for their sustenance, all the voluntary support and the board advisor support through Tal leaders and Tal Scouts, and finally the marketing support through Tal Radio and Tal Media. So the idea is any nonprofit can utilize all these functions and can come onto the platform. As more and more nonprofits come onto the platform, it makes it easy for donor to choose and donate. Now we have essentially created a marketplace of both donors and donees and kindness commerce. That's the whole idea.
Thanks, Sai and Veena. Again, very, comprehensive and integrated, ecosystem that, you have built there. let me follow up on the point related to, technology. As we said, this is one of the focus areas of, our session this morning. So as you look at these emerging technologies, how do you see it driving, again, this effective, connection between, donor and donee, creating new platforms for giving and raising awareness on the impact of what organizations like TAL, does. If you could, comment on that.
Great question, Dr. Manuel. I think if we focus on the ABCDs of emerging technologies, so AI, blockchain, cloud, and data analytics. For AI, we are starting to use emerging AI technologies to be able to better connect donors to donees, to better detect fraud as well, looking at the volume of transactions that might go to a given user or that may come out of a given user for any kind of anti-money laundering purposes. Furthermore, again, we want to make this a great experience for our users who might want to donate to nonprofit organizations that they care about. So getting the recommendations right in terms of what kinds of nonprofit organizations and what kinds of causes that I care about should come up towards the top of my feed whenever I think about TAL Radio or whenever I think about the TAL Giving application. Next, on the blockchain side, we want to be able to use blockchain to introduce better transparency in terms of how funds are moved, but also to facilitate cross-border transactions to all sorts of countries, right? Whether we are moving money from the US to, say, India, or India back to the US, or to other countries as well, be it China or New Zealand, any of the global economy should be supported by the TAL Giving application. And we want to make giving something that is universal rather than something that is just local. Of course, we want people to care about local causes, but people can feel attached to causes all over the world now because of the way that the internet has expanded. And next, I'll talk about cloud.
No, go ahead.
In terms of cloud, what I'd like to talk about is just the multi-tenant architecture of cloud. The cloud has enabled us to actually connect to all sorts of different platforms and devices. So through being cloud native, we are now enabled on Android and iOS, and we now are able to take advantage of the massive Google ecosystem and its data analytics capabilities as we start to build out our applications and as we start to scale for many more users. And finally, for data analytics is what's going to help us improve our gamification aspect of our platform. We want corporates to be able to use the kindness points to be able to run their own kindness campaigns within their own companies and to see who within their own companies are actually championing ESG goals and actually making a difference within their local communities beyond just what they're doing in their day-to-day job. And I'll hand the floor back to Sai.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, Dr. Manu. There were 15 girls, blind girls in Bangalore. They wanted to pursue master's education. It was going to cost $15,000 for their master's education. Each of them about $1,000. These people didn't know who to ask. And they put their need on the platform. In about 1 week, a bunch of people funded their education. So the big thing that it is solving is people who need help, they don't know who to ask. People who want to help, they don't know who to help. Using technology, we are connecting both of them. Both of them didn't know each other before this platform. Now we are empowering any person with a need to be able to come and put their need on the platform. Anybody who wants to help can help them. Now, typically when you say helping, is always about funding. Here, it's not always about the funding. A doctor can help cure a patient without any money. They can go donate their time. They can donate something, etc. So using technology, we are connecting people is a big thing. And we're also trying to understand each of the people. Hey, this person like to help teaching. This person like to help mentoring. So based on understanding the people, we are encouraging more kindness, inspiring more kindness. So bringing in the cloud technology, bringing in this multi-tenant kind of a platform, AI, ML, and all of that, it's giving us a lot of opportunity to do a lot of innovative things. The same platform, we are enabling for enterprises to also use it, because the CSR, what people call as corporate social responsibility, or even ESG, environmental social governance platform. We're also building the platform. When you have all the needs, when you have all the nonprofits, it makes it easy for an enterprise to choose where to donate, how to donate. An enterprise can involve in blood donation, an enterprise can involve in mentoring. So I think all of that are able to happen using a digital platform. And we are bringing in what Amazon or some of these big companies have used the technology to solve different problems. We are trying to see how we can inspire kindness, how we can connect people who have a need with just a mobile phone. Now they can reach all the global audience and get the problem solved. That's the big picture, is what I can really say.
This is a great point, Sai and Tej. That's not just one or two technologies, but the convergence, of these technologies. And it's a very exciting story that we've seen play out, for example, in the commercial space, in global e-commerce. But the points that you made, and that is, this enables, the small players, both on the giving side as well as on the receiving side, to get connected, given the technology that and the platforms that you have built. I think it's building on the example that you provided on Bangalore. You have invited Jeff to join us this morning to talk about a very exciting project that they started, once again inspired by a young person who saw an opportunity to help people in need. Jeff, please tell us about Project Bell.
Sure. First, let me just say the platform we're talking about, the Touch a Life platform and its integrated components, are really an exact match for what something like Project Bell needs. Project Bell was started by my daughter when she was 12 years old. It's a way for hospitals to get bells that patients ring after they've had radiation treatment. And my wife went through the radiation treatment. They had a bell in this hospital, and she saw how much she really looked forward to ringing the bell and reading the poem. This is a tradition that was started at MD Anderson Cancer Center. And then she recognized that very few hospitals had these bells, and she wanted to donate them around the world. And she started out by selling bracelets to raise money, to fund bells, to donate bells, and then started to try and raise money more broadly, get support for her media, try and advertise, try and do marketing. And what can one person do even if her parents help her? So then her sister started to help her. And now she has grown this into a global nonprofit where she's given out many, many bells, and it starts to fund itself because people who ring bells give donations. That lets her donate more bells. And an estimated 60,000 people a year ring her bells, and every time she donates a bell, more people will ring it year after year. So www.projectbell.org. What I think is very interesting about today's discussion is how much scale she would have had in using the platform that she uses now, but she's recently started using it, and she can get fundraising through the platform. She can get resources and people, right? Students around the world who have an interest can sign up to help her and take the project into their communities if they have an interest in this particular issue. They can donate money, they can donate time, they can help with the issues of simply identifying hospitals and cancer centers who might want to have a bell. So that's a little bit about Project Bell and how we see sort of this product and this whole, Tal Touch a Life being able to help us and other institutions like us.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And Vina, you've done some work with Isabella. Could you talk a little bit about that and in the context of Tal Scouts?
Sure, Dr. Manuel. First and foremost, I think it's incredible to see Isabella and Alexa. I think two young individuals. Isabella started this when she was 12, and she's now about 16, and she's gone through this journey of collecting bells and donating, and it's amazing to see the kind of energy that the young people have, that the youth has. And this is where I think Tal Scouts, we really believe that the youth, we have 1.6 billion youth around the world, and each of these individuals, they have so much potential within their high school period and the undergrad period. These are young adults just coming out into the world, want to create social impact, and they have bright ideas, and we are tapping them right there with and giving them tools to channelize that particular energy. So if they want to help in a particular cause, for example, if they want to address like a cancer hospital and the patients over there. Another example, their own local schools. There are several homeless students that are in local schools, and these students, as part of Tal Scouts, we orient them how to support their own school or a school district, or take charge of another one. Another example, Alum Rock School District, they have about 200 families that need support, and our Tal Scouts primarily help this school by raising donations and donating hygiene kits like soaps, shampoos, and all of that to these homeless students, right? So we are orienting all of these Tal Scouts around the world to think about social causes that they can support. And also we are nurturing social entrepreneurship. If they want to start up some business, how they can have an innovative thinking mindset. So we are giving them social enterprise business canvas, and we are educating them how to go from identifying a problem in their local area, whether it is a health related problem, whether it is supporting physically challenged individuals, or supporting gender gap, women issues, or gender issues, etc., right? So we are helping them, first of all, orient themselves to several different problem areas that they can see out there, how they can channelize their thinking from problem to creating an innovative solution using technology, using advocacy and others. So we give them a business canvas to educate them through that particular process, submit that, and we have mentors, all the TAL leaders mentors, actually guide them on these entrepreneurship ideas. So I would actually, if you don't mind, I would just simply like to share one screen. So this is a screen I'd like to share. This is the Transformers program. Love to invite all the youth out there to come participate, get educated on social innovation mindset and social innovation thinking, and come participate on that one.
So let me just add one thing, Dr. Manuel, to what
Yes.
Veena said. Project Bell is a perfect example in terms of, look at young kids, like a 12-year-old kids, what they're doing, what they want to do. How do you inspire more of these things is a big picture, actually. And I think providing a digital platform where they can come up with ideas, where they can even get some funding and all of that, etc., get the board advisor support for those ideas, etc. Again, this is a generation of Facebook, social, and all of that, etc., and all the digital platform. So getting them involved in a digital platform, bring up their ideas and create a competition among all of them to kind of really change the world is, and that actually brings kids away from depression, away from all the negative things, etc., and creates a better citizens for the future, etc., is a big picture.
That to Jeff's point, and to your point, Veena and Sai, again, this is so inspiring. and that the kids, the youth, come up with some of these very best ideas. But more than that, they inspire their friends and their parents and family members, to come along for this excellent journey. So, Karen, we have a number of questions in the chat or Q&A
We sure do.
form. So go ahead.
So first question is, what does TAL's global impact look like?
So let me take this question. Right now we are focused both on US and back in India. And we are building like a multiple apps on the platform. We started primarily on the crowdfunding. We also did some help on the COVID help app, etc. But the idea is to bring blood donation, book donation, mentoring, teaching, coaching, different apps on the platform. So the focus is primarily US and India, and we're still in the 100-step journey. We are still at a step number 1 is all I can really say at this point of time.
Yeah. So to add to what Sai has said, we have close to about 3,000 users on the platform. We have about 3,000 Tal Scouts also around the world, and we have again supporting many schools and shelters. Happy to send out some exact numbers for this particular question.
Thank you. Karen, go ahead.
Okay, next question is, how does TAL make money to sustain operations? Does any donation money go toward your overhead?
No. See, that's the difference, Karen. What we have done is when we build the foundation, the first thing we said, we'll never touch any donors' money. So we'll make it absolute transparent. 100% of the money goes from donor to donor. We don't touch any money. And we created a concept of charter member. Charter member are like a corporates who want to donate money to run the operations of the of the Touch a Life Foundation. My company, Venus Company, as an example, are the charter members. But the big picture is as we bring donors and donies onto the platform, once it becomes a digital platform, eventually we believe we can do advertisements, etc., to raise money to run the operations as well. Tal Wines is also another program which also generates. We're helping a lot of local California farmers have come with, hey, sell my wine. Part of the proceeds we're going to give it to Touch a Life, etc. So that's another way. Tal Wines, digital advertisements, charter members is what we're thinking, where we'll be able to scale this platform to millions of users.
Yeah, so that's one of the unique pieces of TAL, right?
Yep.
Sorry, Manuel, did you have something to add?
No, I think Chuck's question was also very similar in terms of how do you cover the overhead. We expected these questions coming from our business school students. This is usually one of the very first questions that come up, Sai and Bina, when we have discussions of social enterprises. We have other questions. Karen, go ahead.
What has been the biggest challenge you have faced in creating a global support system of the platform?
Let me take this. Yeah, go ahead, Tej.
Yeah, I would go along to say that basically one of the biggest challenges that we've definitely faced is the actual scaling of the architecture itself, right? Actually building out the application such that we can face a global audience, such that we are respecting various countries' laws in terms of data privacy, in terms of having, scaling to thousands of users and actually facilitating the commerce itself in terms of the money movement of the funds. There's a lot of intricacies and details that come along the way when you're talking about users' data, when you're talking about users' monies and connecting their bank accounts. And that is something that, we have faced as a challenge, and we've, thankfully we've gotten around, and now that's helped us that's enabled us to be a global platform.
All I would add is, more than the technology, right now we have a very unique value proposition. There's nobody else in the game what we're trying to do. How fast can we really move? How fast can we really make it happen? how do we reach our first 100,000 users is really the biggest challenge, is what I would really say. But I think we built the platform. I think in the course of like the last 12 months, 18 months, we built the platform. We're getting there. It's just that how fast can we move is perhaps the biggest challenge.
And that's quite typical in terms of building the community, right? Which is
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think absolutely, Dr. Manuel, it's the power of partnerships, right? So I think bringing the nonprofit community as partners and the youth as partners to, utilize this platform for kindness and for giving, that will be the fundamental, driver for increasing the usage.
Jeff and I we were talking yesterday about this, and he was telling me now the issue is not about getting hospitals to ask for the bells or donors to want to donate the bells, but the issue now is the supply of bells, right, Jeff?
I just think there's a supply chain issue everywhere, and it certainly affects nonprofits. And if you're a nonprofit that has one product that it's trying to give away, you have to be able to have access to that product. So hopefully we'll see the supply chain get better and bells become even more available. And these aren't just little bells that people ring, right? These are beautiful, 18 by 24 wooden plaques with a poem engraved on them with an 8-inch bell that, someone really goes up and has an experience after their treatment, and their family takes part and they have a party. It's really a joyous occasion. So it's really nice to make sure that they stay available and become available. So these hospitals and cancer centers, which by the way range from very large hospitals, global institutions, to small community chemo centers that might, be in a very small town because a person can't go to a main hospital. They don't live anywhere near them. Our aspiration is to let anybody who wants to have one of these bells and conduct these ceremonies be in a position to have one.
And to build on that, Jeff, we talked yesterday about the possibility of having our undergrad and grad students participate in that. Let's look at the supply chain issue. After all, we have an MS in international business with global supply chain specialization. How do we deal with those supply chain issues? How do we deal with the route to market? So that will be, the contribution in turn, of our international business specialists, again, to this, exciting thing that you're doing.
And that's,
go ahead.
That's what excites me about Tal Scouts, right? Like the access to talent, that there are members of this platform around the world that have skills and are willing to make those skills available to support small nonprofits, whether it's strategy skills or marketing skills or logistics and supply chain, or simply knowing that, hey, I know someone at this hospital, I can make an introduction. That's it's a nonprofit. It's trying to give away bells. One of its biggest barriers is figuring out who do you even tell that you're willing to give them a bell. So I think the Scout program is really going to help with that.
Thanks. Karen, we have a few more questions.
We do. And I think just right along those who do you tell lines, a question is, where do you advertise the platform? So Tal, do you use social media or any other channel?
Right now, we are using primarily the social media to advertisement about all the needs and all of that. We got the email campaign, we got the social campaign, and then we are doing our own events, and we're also using the Tal Radio, Tal Media. We have a 24/7 radio station where we play all music, and we bring in a lot of podcasts, interviews, and all of that, etc. And Tal Media, in fact, a couple of people have produced movies, and we plan to, these kids, they want to create inspiring movies for Amazon at some point of the time on, rags to riches and all of that. So hoping with all of that, the media from an audio or a video, the social media, email campaigns and all of that, we'll bring the ecosystem to the platform.
Thank you. I think there's a related question also from Carla. Go ahead, Carla. Go ahead, Carla.
That one. I don't see it.
Yeah. Well, Carla asked about the remittances. When you start moving money, in the platform across borders, so you have all of these issues that the money remittance companies typically face, from privacy to security, and again processing the remittances. How do you deal with that, Isai, in the U.S.-China corridor, Isai, Tej, or Vina?
So right now we are focused only primarily India and United States. These are the only two countries. But most importantly, we are trying to pay for the cost. Meaning if somebody comes and says, I need money for my education, we are trying to send it as a school fees to the actual school, not to the individual. So that's one angle that we're kind of really doing. And the other thing is we are also involving the Tal Scouts to verify, validate the need. What if the same person is trying to raise donations on multiple crowdfunding platforms and all of that? How do you detect fraud and all of that, etc.? So we got a third party like a Tal Scout who is verifying. We also have like a like and comments. If somebody finds something fishy, they can put a like and comment and all of that, etc. So again, we are using this technology is a crowd as a judge, crowd as a to comment on a particular need and all of that, Tal Scouts, and also bringing this AI and ML into the overall platform to verify from a fraud detection and all of that is what we are trying to do. Tej, anything else you want to add? Like,
in terms of the remittances, I would say at the moment, it's facilitated through a series of banking partnerships. And in terms of the fraud, yes, the Tal Scouts and the Tal Scouts and our Tal leaders and the entire crowdfunding ecosystem are what help us find fraud. And we are planning on using, advanced tools within data analytics and within AI and cloud computing through some of the tools that Google BigQuery has to actually help us, locate, more exact issues that, we can find within the fraud landscape, right? If large amounts of funds are flowing towards a certain individual's account, we want to be able to capture that and to see, okay, why is this happening? And does something fishy look like it's going on over here?
Yeah, I think this is also very timely in this time of COVID. What have you seen in terms of the responses and the ask and the offers related to challenges pertaining to COVID?
So COVID, particularly this is very handy in India when the COVID wave really hit. Oxygen cylinders, the pharmacy, sometimes the entire family gets infected and there's a social angle to it. They all can't even buy goods. They can't go out. They're all scared. And it was a chaos back in India. It was absolute chaos. We quickly put together an app on our platform on COVID. People can come and say, I need food. They just need somebody to drop the food at their house. Somebody needed oxygen cylinders. The price got jacked by 1,000%, these oxygen cylinders. And pharmacy, even the medicine became like super expensive. And we were like trying to get people to come and say, hey, here is a medicine available. Here is a doctor available to see. Here is a hospital can take a patient. It was the system in India was not prepared to take up like this big chaos. Hospitals, pharmacies, everything kind of really got impacted. I think we did our little bit to kind of really create this app and people to kind of really put their need and all of that, etc. So I think that's a perfect example how a digital platform can really help is what I would really say.
Yeah, I would also I'd like to add on to that one. We have seen, especially in the US, we have onboarded a lot of public schools where, as I mentioned, several low-income family students needed help, both in terms of the food, supplies. During COVID, most of the schools were shut down, and people needed the food supplies coming in, as well as hygiene kits were a heavy need in this area. So all our Tal Scouts, using the Tal Giving platform, supported many schools, supported schools in Dallas, in Washington, in Seattle, in Colorado, as well as in California region. We've supported many schools, donating several hundreds and several kits for many months, because these are continuous supply. Every month you're sending this over to the schools. So we strongly encourage, especially in a Denver Startup Week, you're out there in Colorado, every school, please come be part of Tal Giving platform, and our Tal Scouts will support your schools. Please come join that, register yourself on the platform.
They say that entrepreneurship is really about matching opportunities with resources. Here we have a tremendous opportunity, to do well by doing good. And what Tal, and again, Sai, Veena, Tej, and Jeff, with Project Bell, what you have done is precisely this, matching resources that you have, your technology expertise, the networks that you have, the people that you have, and particularly the kids that are so passionate about this, matching them with this tremendous, opportunity, to do well. And I see great things happening, with Tal and all the work, that you're doing. So, I wanted to commend you for your, excellent work. I wanted to leave the additional time for, announcements and acknowledgements. I think Karen, we have Professor MP, with us here. Do you see him?
Yes.
Yeah, but he's not able to talk, right? Did he send any kind of message?
No, I can't.
Okay, yeah. Well, let me just speak on his behalf. We talked before the session. He was very, very excited about this session to feature, Tal, and to feature, the work that technology can bring to addressing this very, very important, issue. So I'll leave the last word to you, Sai, Veena, Tej, and Jeff. Any announcements that you would like to make, any call to action? Yeah, well, I invite you to do so.
So let me just take this. Every year we celebrate World Kindness Day. This is on like November 13th. We bring in, on all the United Nations 17 SDG goals, we bring in topics. We do it on Clubhouse, where we invite like a lot of speakers and all of that, etc. And please join on the Tal World Kindness Day, and some exciting speakers you will see on the platform, very successful people in terms of innovation, government policies, and all of that. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you at the Tal World Kindness Day.
Thank you. Jeff?
I just want to thank Sai and Veena and Taj for inviting us to participate today. I'm really just sitting in for my daughters and my wife, who really are the heart and spirit of Project Bell. But it is something that has grown over the last 5 years, and I can really see how the platform can help both this small nonprofit, but others through all the ways we've talked about. And I can imagine, the future, what it will look like if we can really continue to grow Project Bell. And I think this is one way that will really help us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, as I mentioned, my Center for International Business Education and Research and Institute for International Business, in partnership with the Jake Jobs Center for Entrepreneurship, we're doing a number of things, collaborating on a number of ventures to move forward our initiative related to global high impact, entrepreneurship. So please, join us, in this, effort. You can, check out our individual, websites. So thank you to everyone, for, your participation. And I know this is going to be recorded and shared with, the various participants here, at, Startup Week. Karen, over to you for any final announcements.
I just want to thank all of our speakers and attendees for being here today. It's been a great session, so thank you for joining us. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Monday. And if any of your questions were not able to be answered live on this session, I put my email address in the chat box. So please feel free to send me your questions and I will forward them along and get answers to you from our speakers.
Thank you. Have a good morning, good afternoon, everyone. And thanks again for your participation.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Manuel and Karen, and thanks, Denver Startup Week. It was a wonderful session. Enjoyed speaking here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Denver Startup Week, for having us.
Thank you.